morning and welcome to the After GMS. I was going to say the Good Morning Show, but it is After GMS. Yes, the show we do after the Good Morning Show on the WFNY News 2 Facebook page at 7:45. I'm Tracy McCain here with Megan Milleris, Christian Morgan, and Ed Matthews.
All right, let's start with our forecast. Feeling a little more like summer today, hot and humid.
Yeah, it really is. You know, something we don't talk a lot about in the month of October is humidity. But boy, we've got it. A little more representative of late August, early September day. Dew points out the door this morning in the 60s, upper 60s to near 70. So right in that very tropical range. And of course, temperatures are quite warm too. Closing in on that 70-degree mark as well. 68 in Winston-Salem right now, 67 in Greensboro. 69 down in Asheboro, 68 Lexington. We're in the mid-60s in the foothills and upper 50s and low 60s in the mountains in places where it's raining quite a lot right now. Just a few sprinkles across the triad this morning. That's about all we've seen. Now there's more in the way of steady or even heavy rain at times back in the west, in the foothills and in the mountain communities as well. And if we zoom out on a wider view, you can really see where our big system is. Big old low pressure area in the upper levels out to our west that brings in all of the moisture, all of the warmth, all of the humidity out of the Gulf and off of the ocean. So that continues to fuel those rounds of scattered showers that we'll have as we go throughout the rest of the week. Now, the heavier stuff is going to stay confined to the mountains today, but we still can't let our guard down for a scattered shower in the triad. But most folks will likely stay dry today as well. Meanwhile, there's another bit of a front that will slide by later today and going into your Thursday. That will actually cool us off just a tad. And also with the extra cloud cover, with a better chance for rain for Thursday and Friday, I expect our highs to stay in the low and mid 70s instead of the upper 70s like we're expecting for today. But the system really doesn't break down for quite some time. It takes at least through the first part of the weekend and into early next week for this to completely move out and move away from us. So this is what the radar could look like at times. Now keep in mind, none of these days are going to be a washout, okay? By no means will there be a washout, but just kind of that pesky shower chance each day, with you likely needing to keep an eye on the radar a few times each afternoon if you're going to be outside. So there will be clouds, there will be sun, and there will be the occasional shower from time to time. Upper 70s to near 80 today. It's a warm and muggy day regardless of how much rain you get. The rain chances do get a little bit better for Thursday and Friday, but they do start to come back down heading into Saturday, and we'll even things out a bit as we go into Sunday and start next week with a return to dry weather with afternoon highs in the mid and upper 70s by Monday and Tuesday.
All right, looking forward to a different week next week.
Yeah.
You know, it's not terrible. It's just not great.
Yeah, it's not pleasant,
right?
But it's okay.
Just annoying.
That's a great word. All right, well, I'm looking forward to what the next 7 days brings.
Yeah, me too.
You never know in North Carolina. All right, sometimes we all need a push, a little support and encouragement to keep you going, especially on those really tough days. So today we're highlighting the people that do that in different ways and aspects in our lives. It could be a health and fitness coach, a life coach, a spiritual advisor, or someone who's maybe coached you throughout your life in sports.
So the reason we're talking about this is because it is National Coaches Day. We want to know, who is the coach mentor in your life?
All right, well, while you join the conversation by leaving your comment here in the chat, we want to share some positive words from a familiar face that we feature every Monday on the Good Morning Show. Coach Lynch Hunt with AWOL Fitness offers health, fitness, and life advice, and he shares this take on staying positive.
Saying thank you allows me to have an attitude of gratitude. And an attitude of gratitude means making it a conscious habit to express thankfulness and appreciation for every part of our lives. Look, when you develop an attitude of gratitude, you feel happier and more positive, and it allows us to see the situation more accurately and thoroughly because it does not lock into the negative aspects of the situation.
All right, so we did get some text responses from several of you, and we appreciate this one. Someone said, appreciate you, Lynch Hunt and Coach Mike, Cody, Marlo, and Alex. That's pretty neat. I'm pretty sure they go to AWOL. Oh yeah, that's TJ Maxx. She's someone who goes to AWOL Fitness, so I can't tell you why we call her that. It's too personal. One viewer said, my favorite coach, Rory, the pet, by the way. Pretty neat. Ginny said, my coach is the Word of God. I love that.
Alex says, my dad is my coach. He's been my coach in sports settings and has given me guidance in all other aspects of life. He's always given me courage when I felt discouraged. And someone wrote in, the Reedsville High School and Middle School coaches, they are great with our kids. Family is what we are. This viewer said, Coach Joe Lemire, he's the coach for Alamance Patriots, a good coach for my boys, Jordan and Braden. And Charlene said, my favorite coach is Jesus and Teresa Parker from Family Services. These two people have given me the power to live. That's an amazing testimony, Charlene. Thanks for sharing.
I love all of those responses. And I guess it just depends on, where you need that push and support in your life and that person that's kind of gotten you along your way. I mean, I think for all of us, our parents had some type of involvement in our lives and were really the first ones to shape us. So that is definitely, my parents are people who I always refer to for just a little bit of inspiration and guidance as to what to do in this situation or that situation, or how would you handle this? Of course, prayer always works, and you find the answers when you're kind of by yourself and kind of just reflecting a little bit and praying. And then also you have those physical coaches in your life, like Coach Hunt, who scream at you and tell you to move, get out, in that deep husky voice.
What was that?
So whatever it is, it's always nice to have that supportive system behind you.
Yeah, I agree. I don't have a fitness coach currently. I just go on walks around the neighborhood at night. My son's a motivation, though. He keeps me going, Mama, look over there. Anyway, but my life coaches, I should say, the past year and a half especially have been my mother and mother-in-law. As I became a new mom in January 2020, they've really helped guide me through this process, while, also encouraging me to have the freedom to make, my own decisions and the respect to stand by those and how I want to parent and what my son raised and the values we instill in him. So I really appreciate their support and of course everyone else who has helped along this journey, all in this together. And so Christian, I know you mentioned your dad has been such a great source of inspiration for you.
Yeah, of course both my parents and grandparents too, but there's always something about a father and son duo, right? And he's always been super close with me and my brother. He's now, I guess, our quote-unquote manager of our band, so he travels with us everywhere we go when we play, and it's just always led by example. My dad is the true example of selflessness, I believe, and of course has always taught us and instilled traditional values and taught us about Jesus and made sure that we were involved in our churches from a young age. So my dad is automatically kind of first person that comes to my mind. Second person that comes to my mind is actually my worship leader at church, because I play classic rock and beach music on Saturday nights, and then a lot of times I'll turn around and play Christian music on Sunday mornings, and that's not something that I did or that I've always done. That's pretty new for me, at least over the last year and a half or 2 years, I would say. And so my worship leader, Randy, he always pushes me to try something new and to kind of jump out of my comfort zone in what I know and try something new and kind of venture off into a new world. So I guess he would kind of be my second coach, and he's just a really, really good friend too.
All right, Ed Matthews, it is definitely your turn. Who's your coach?
Well, several people. It's amazing. At 84, I still ask my mom for advice, and she's never wrong. She's never wrong. But it's my dad that was a real inspiration for me during his lifetime. Just a wonderful man, a man of integrity and great character. He taught me to be a good Christian and a good man in general. I'm still, trying to be the son that he raised, but I can't match him. He was just an amazing guy. He could fix everything. He knew the answers, the great answers to advice and life problems and things like that. And again, as I mentioned on the Good Morning Show, Lee Kynard and Sandra Hughes. I'll never forget the first day I walked into the studios of WFMY way back in 1988, and I was so starstruck when I saw Lee Kynard, and then Sandra Hughes came in the afternoon, and I was just kind of blown away. But they have taught me a lot about broadcasting and teaching me what our viewers want to know. And hopefully I've learned from them, and I think I have.
Yeah, and now you're coaching all of the new kids on the block, I guess I'd say. You were my coach when I came in, telling me how do we do things on the Good Morning Show, and look at me now.
Yeah, you're fantastic.
Well,
we're
you're
all
fantastic.
We got a great, this so much history, and people that have just moved to the Piedmont or have just recently moved here. The Good Morning Show has a ton of history associated with it. So we've always had, you know, great people to serve on the show, as we do now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I have lost track of that page. I don't have it up, but maybe you do, Meg?
Yeah, so Carol, speaking of Sandra Hughes, she said she met her a long time ago. Nicest lady you could ever meet. She really is. What you see is what we get with her. She's amazing. Scott said, God is my coach, sees me through it all. Jamel said, shout out to Coach Crystal Glass. She's not only a coach, but a mentor also. Hashtag best cheer coach director. Hashtag go Ravens. We also heard from Bobby, who said both of his grandmothers were his coaches before they passed away. Grandmothers are so special, Bobby. Jim said Coach Ron Miller, head varsity fencing coach at UNC for 52 years. Fascinating info about this amazing man. He says, yeah, we can find that online. And we also are still just hearing from a variety of people who are speaking to the impact their parents made. Ramona said her coaches were her parents before they passed. So some special memories, and the impacts are obviously profound that these individuals have made on our viewers. And so it's great to celebrate our coaches today, whether they're living or they've passed on, just recognizing the sacrifice and the impact they've made on our lives.
Yeah, and saying thank you. Thank you for impacting me and shaping me and you know, helping to make me who I am today.
Yeah. All right, we have another conversation coming up, but let's get to some morning headlines. We're getting some clarity here from Winston-Salem Police Department about a traffic alert we first told you about on the Good Morning Show. Police say Buchanan Street remains closed after a driver hit a power pole there. This happened in the 3000 block of Buchanan Street earlier today. This is the area between the Southside Library and Beth Avenue. A driver hit a utility pole, knocking out power in the area to about 300 people as of last check on the Duke Energy website. Police say the 3000 block of Buchanan Street will stay closed until 4 o'clock this afternoon while they replace the power pole. Meanwhile, another major thoroughfare, Silas Creek Parkway, has reopened after a driver crashed into a power pole there. This happened in the 5200 block. Officers say there were no injuries. There's a big search now for 3 people who Greensboro police say stole a car with an 11-month-old baby inside. The child was reunited with his family yesterday, and police say a tip led investigators to the Laurel Bluff Apartments in High Point, where they found the car and the baby. They're now looking for the 3 suspects in this case. Police pulled some photos from surveillance video. Investigators believe they are driving a black Nissan with Georgia tags. If you see them or recognize them, call Crime Stoppers right away.
Well, fires have killed nearly 24 people in Greensboro since 2016. 150 people have been injured seriously from fires in this community. WFMY News 2's ITN's McMiller is reporting on how a partnership between the Greensboro Science Center and the Greensboro Fire Department aims to save lives.
Well, preventing fires starts with you and me, but partnerships can make a difference as well. And that is why the Greensboro Fire Department has set up shop here at the Greensboro Science Center for a host of fire prevention activities throughout October for Fire Prevention Month. This year's theme is Learn the Sounds of Fire Safety. The Greensboro Fire Department will educate the public on the sounds that can come from your smoke alarm and what they mean. And we are at the peak time of year for fires here in Greensboro. The city's fire educator has these tips for the public this spooky season.
First, make sure when you're using candles for jack-o'-lanterns and such that you keep your clothing and costumes clear of the candles and keep all decorations away as well. Decorations such as dry corn stalks, dried flowers, and crepe paper are the first thing to ignite in more than 1,000 home fires each year.
For your safety, experts encourage folks to use battery-operated candles this season and look for Halloween costumes that are fire retardant. Now back here at the Science Center, the Greensboro Fire Department will be here from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. through Friday, educating the public on how to prevent fires. And those who take part in these activities have a chance to win discounted tickets to the Greensboro Science Center. And for more fire tips, you can visit our website at WFMYnews2.com.
Well, today, Guilford College classes are all online. The college's president says they made the decision after dozens of students tested positive for COVID-19 last week. They also identified a cluster among student athletes totaling another 18 cases. Classes will stay online through today. The school did test more students over the last few days, and those results will determine whether students go back to learning in person. Well, it is fall, might not feel like it exactly, but we all know the season has a lot to offer. Usually it's cooler temperatures. but heat and humidity, you know, whatever. It's North Carolina.
Right.
But you can always take a beautiful drive along the Blue Ridge Parkway. It is a great place to just kind of take in the scenery and watch the leaves as they turn colors.
It's really a majestic experience driving down there. What's your favorite fall activity? Is it leaf peeping? Is it something else? While you go ahead and weigh in here, let's take a look at some recent views at Grandfather Mountain. Ooh.
I know, it's really nice to look at and kind of just take a deep breath, imagine yourself there. These gorgeous shots are from the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation. You can see the vibrant fall colors peeking through the fog near Rough Ridge, which is milepost 302.8. The color is just starting to appear along the areas of the Blue Ridge at 3,500 feet and under in elevation. Experts anticipate we could see peak colors at the higher elevations of Grandfather Mountain by this weekend.
You can find a list of some of the must-stop spots along the Parkway in North Carolina right down to the milepost on our website, WFMYnews2.com. You can see this comprehensive guide begins near the Boone, Blowing Rock area and then goes south toward Asheville, Brevard area. You can also find a list of pumpkin patches here in the Triad. Some of them include McLaurin Farms in Greensboro and Zane's Clodbuster Farms in Kernersville. So many options, really.
So we did get some text messages into our newsroom about this, and someone said Natural Bridge in Virginia. They called it gorgeous. And then we heard from Leslie Matthews, who said, my family and I like driving through Cherokee, North Carolina. The leaves are beautiful. I've never been through Cherokee.
Ooh,
have you, Christian?
Yeah,
You're like,
of course.
oh yeah.
It's in the mountains.
To get to where you're going. I know, to get to where you're going, you're like, I'm driving through.
Yeah. Well, Cherokee's up by Western, right? My husband went to college in that area. We drove through it a few weeks ago on our way back from Gatlinburg, and it's a beautiful area. I can only imagine what it looks like when the leaves start turning.
Gorgeous. And you know, some of those higher elevations, once you get about above 4,500 feet, you're like, where's 4,500 feet, right? So Grandfather Mountain, Mount Mitchell, anywhere above that, anywhere, you know, there and above, is where things are really starting to peak right now. That's where the best color is. And you know, as you go a little further down in some of the lower elevations, once you get to that Rough Ridge overlook from that picture that we saw from the Grandfather Mountain Stewardship Foundation, I mean, there's some really good color starting to show up there. And typically we don't like fog, right? But something about clouds and fog really makes those colors pop off the trees. And those are the places, you know, once you get down into Boone, Blowing Rock, Asheville, those areas are really going to start to see some good color over the next 2 weeks. So it's a little bit later, but those higher peaks, Grandfather Mountain, Mount Mitchell, all those places above 4,500 feet will peak later this week.
All right, you know, I also love, I was telling everyone on the feed, I love apple picking, but I also love sitting on my porch and sitting on the rocking chair and just going back and forth. Oh, yeah. And so I used to watch my grandparents do that all the time when I was growing up, but I never realized how relaxing it is until I started doing it. And now I'm like, you know, when everybody's like, Mommy this, da 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 da, I'm like, I'm just gonna go sit on the front porch.
I'll watch you play while I swing.
Exactly. I'm just going to rock a little bit. All right, what's your favorite fall activity, Ed?
Well, one of my favorite, of course, riding my bike. You know, in the heat of the summer, you have to pick and choose your time of day to ride the bike. And usually it's on my day off early in the morning. But now with the somewhat cooler temperatures across the area, just great ideal bike riding really just about any time of the day. Not only here locally, but really throughout the region. I think I had a friend that come over from Raleigh a while back, brought his bike over here and we went riding. And he said, you know, Greensboro and Guilford County has got some amazing you know, bike trails and walking trails, and that made me feel really proud, and I totally agree with him as well. But one of my most relaxing things, and unfortunately I don't do it enough, is hiking in the beautiful North Carolina mountains, especially this time of year. Again, cooler weather, very comfortable. The leaves are absolutely gorgeous. The leaves that fall on the ground kind of create a carpet of beautiful leaves on the ground. It's just amazing. And you know, it's kind of hard to think that hiking would be relaxing, but when you're in an environment like the beautiful North Carolina mountains, indeed it is somewhat relaxing.
We love hiking, especially in the fall. That's something we love to do, go up to Boone, Blowing Rock area, hike those trails up there. But there are even really great trails around here. Of course, as our meteorologist explained, the leaf colors are a little bit later here than they are out in the mountains and out west. But Christian, it was interesting. A couple weeks ago, I did a Verify with meteorologist Monique Robinson, and she explained that the really hot summer we had means that the colors could be duller and delayed a little bit this year, but they should be better than last year when it was just too wet to get a lot of color.
Yeah, last year was super wet, and it's it's interesting. I was looking at one of the professors at Appalachian State, call him the fall color guy, and so he always puts out these reports, and he was making comparisons over the last couple of years. In 2017 and 2020, had both of those years had really warm winters and also were really wet, and the colors weren't that great. The colors were kind of delayed. But if you compare this year back to, I believe 2017 it was, when we had a cooler fall and not as much rain, well, the fall leaf season actually came pretty much on schedule, if not a little bit ahead, and it was actually pretty vibrant. And so he was comparing this year a little closer to 2017 than even if you think about 2020 and 2018, where it was really, really wet. So it's kind of funny, we always say, oh, there has to be a happy medium, but really you need a happy medium to get some really good color in the fall. A lot of times you want a wet growing season, but you don't want it to be super soggy. You want some cool nights. You don't want it too cold. You don't want it too warm. It's just that happy medium, right, that you really want to have the most vibrant fall colors. But this year should be pretty good. I've already seen some really, really good photos, especially from Bannerell, Grandfather Mountain, and those areas. So I would expect Boone and Blowing Rock will look pretty good in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
I think either you really love leaf peeping or you don't. When we were looking for a home, I was looking for an area with as few trees as possible, just so that we wouldn't have to rake the leaves. I was like, my only requirement is no trees. But yeah, it's something that I love watching, like pictures, and I do love, open air and taking rides and things like that. But just to watch the leaves, I'd be like, okay, what do we do next? What happens next?
So what do we get out of it?
Yeah, exactly. But I totally understand it. I know it's a favorite for a lot of people, so I'm not knocking it. I just need to be put on, I think, a little bit more.
I think for me, I just love the mountains so much. I know it's hard to believe. That's not a secret. But I think I just love the mountains so much, and when the leaves change, it just makes it that much better. I can't say that I've ever actually driven. I don't actually think I've ever driven to the mountains just to see the leaves. I've always had another purpose, like, hey, this is a great time to go because A, B, C, oh yeah, and the leaves.
Yeah.
A friend of mine told me that they have some pretty incredible pumpkin patches out that way.
They do.
Not to take away from the wonderful ones that we have in the Triad. McLaurin Farms in the northern part of Greensboro is pretty awesome, and so is J. Raz and Taz. There's so many. There's Kernersville. I mean, think about it. But
right.
She said that she got the biggest gourd ever. Yeah. In the mountains. So it's possible.
Yeah, we've had good luck out there too with pumpkins. Maybe it's just the climate, the cooler air. It's maybe easier for the pumpkins to grow. I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely a lot of options. I'm excited to pumpkin pick with my toddler this year. I think pumpkin picking in general is going to be a very fun activity for a lot of families because last year, if you'll recall, a lot of the farms didn't allow pumpkin picking because we were still at the height of the pandemic, all the unknowns and uncertainty as the cases and everything started surging in the fall. So this year, I think obviously everyone still has to take precautions, but it's going to be a lot different and families are going to be anxious to do something together in the fall that's safe and outside and enjoyable. Ed?
Yeah, you're talking about the North Carolina mountains. It made me think one of my favorite things to do is to stop by one of those roadside stands. Not only can you get some great pumpkins there, but how about apple cider? Ooh, that's good stuff. Yeah.
You know what else? I know we're a little ways away from this, 80 days, 70 some days now from Christmas. But going up and picking a Christmas tree in the mountains, that's a good thing to do. And they always have, they either have the hot apple cider, they have hot chocolate or coffee. And it's just, and the smells, just the smell of a fresh Christmas tree.
Okay, one holiday at a time.
I'm just saying.
There's
I'm
time
just saying
for all
it's
that
fun.
later.
Well, if that's the case, then we have one on Monday.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for this conversation. Were we able to talk to people about their favorite places?
Yeah, we had a couple of comments here. So let's see. Phil said in the fall I had to Boone, Blowing Rock, Valley Cruces, Banner Elk. Ooh, all those are such great places. Love the pumpkin patch and Valley Cruces. Joanne said she loves the preparation and the gathering of family for Thanksgiving. That's what she's most excited about this fall. Dee said you see the leaves, get hot cider and food. She loves fall. Joanne said don't forget the Carolina Classic Fair. That's right, underway right now. Gerald is already on Christian's radar looking ahead to a good old snowstorm.
That's right. Gerald's good. Gerald's a snow lover too. He's one of our weather spotters.
Either you're a big fan of snow.
One holiday at a time, Tracy.
Hey, you're right. So by the way, I wasn't the one who said that to
I know.
you. I know you're throwing it back at me, but I didn't say that to you. It's okay. It's cool.
So by the way, Jessica said she was looking forward to Barbecue Festival. In case you missed it, I'm not sure if she's referring to Lexington or another festival, but the Lexington Barbecue Festival is postponed or canceled technically this year, postponed until next year. And so hopefully it'll be bigger and better than ever in 2022. And hopefully this pandemic will be behind us by that point. So.
I hope so.
All right. How about a forecast that is technically in the fall, but doesn't feel like fall?
Yeah, it's like doing the forecast. Hey, let's go back to that barbecue. You know, a barbecue festival is any time you go to a barbecue restaurant and pig out, and I know all about that. I know a little bit about the weather. It's cloudy this morning and also a little patchy fog in a few spots. A few sprinkles this morning, maybe a few showers this afternoon, but not many. More clouds than anything else. Upper 70s to near 80 today. Slightly better shower chance, but not a washout day for Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. Temperatures a little cooler with a front moving south of the area later today. Mid 70s tomorrow and even low 70s by Friday and Saturday. We'll finally start to dry things out a little bit by Sunday. Only a tiny shower chance on Sunday. And right now, really Sunday and on into early next week, looking nice and dry.
I can do that. Nice and dry. Sounds good. All right. Thanks so much for joining us here on After GMS. We're going to wrap things up, but we'll be back with more great conversations and headlines tomorrow on the News 2 Facebook page at 7:45.
Get out there and get to it. Have a great day.
See you later.